Hi, it's Peg, and today I am doing the fast version of our live stream that's Artjoy sharing. We do this each week. Chelsea and I do this, and then we do a fast version because it's an hour and a half show and it's a live show. So we typically speed things along and um, give you the down and dirty for those people that don't have time to sit and watch an hour and a half show. So it's the holiday season and it's been really busy, and I'm having difficulty with my equipment. So, things keep cutting out on me, and we're talking to the audience, and I'm trying to weed some die cuts because what I decided to work on is a project for Pick a Stick. Um, we do art journal page, an artist trading card, and a tag each month. And I'm behind. I need to get it done for the month of December. So I'm working on as much of that as I can. Plus, I'm going to make a few cards towards the end there. So I just continue to weed and chat with everybody. Last week I wasn't able to be here. I was sick, and then last night we were having more illness in the family here. So it's been one of those weeks, and I'm not prepared for anything today. I'm pulling things out of my hat, just trying to get anything done because I am not prepared. So I have these Christmas papers, and this is a packaging from something that has this cute green and white checker in the background. And I thought, well, that would make a good tag. So let's start with the altered tag. And I'm still weeding. I had spent some time in the morning die cutting some different images that I thought might work on some cards and things. So um, let's get back to the altered tag. So when I look at, yeah, and see, I'm still having difficulty. I lost the chat, had to get it up and running. Anyway, there are steps involved in doing these altered tags, and so I'm just cutting out some different holiday papers to layer things up on my tag. The first prompt was heart, so I've got my heart die cut and it's ready to go. The second prompt was pad, and so I decided I was going to use the swirl, which is part of the die cut in the heart, as the wild card. And then I've got different papers and things. So, I die cut, and now I'm using some paint and a foam pad to apply that. And I had punched out some stars with a paper punch, which are brilliant stars, and it's in that silver tone, so we're staying with the theme here. And I thought the red and green, holiday traditional colors. And I'm just going to glue a few of these stars down into the background, add my heart and a sentiment, and then I'm going to get some sparkly ribbon to go at the top, and I'm going to back this with that candy stripe paper because the back of this tag has a bunch of the marketing information for whatever it was they were selling. So I'm just going to glue down my sentiment, add the backer and the ribbon, and that tag will pretty much be done. Um, and then I can move on and work on the ATC. So Pick a Stick is something that we've done for the last 5 years. Not sure that we're going to continue that next year, but we have a lot of challenges in Art Joy Sharing group, and because of our time constraints and what we have to accomplish within a week's time, um, we have to pick and choose what we're going to work on. So, an hour and a half each Thursday is dedicated to doing a live show with you guys. And then we have a bunch of artists in the Art Joy is Sharing Facebook group that are sharing things with you so you can follow along with them. And then we also have a mood board and different um, challenges and things that are going on over there. So if you're not part of Art Joy is Sharing on Facebook, come and join us there. If you do something and post it on other social media, be sure and use our hashtags and things so that we can find what you have done, because we like to see what you have done. Was just last month we had a month-long challenge doing an art journal page every day, and so there were a whole lot of things posted. I can't even remember. It was like 200 or 300 pictures of art journal pages that people had posted last month for the challenge. So that was really cool. I enjoyed that a lot. Tried to keep up. I did a lot of watercolor for that particular one. I've kind of been fascinated with watercolor lately. So um, yeah, you're probably going to see some more watercolor coming out of me for the next year. Um, it's just, I switch back and forth between the things that I like. So next up is the artist trading card, and those are 2.5 by 3.5 inches. So I've cut a couple of them, and looking at the prompts here for that, it says swirl, brilliant, pad. The wild card is heart, and the color is silver again. So I have these charms. These are from Emerald Creek, and they're kind of in the wrong color because we're silver. So I'm going to use some silver embossing and a stamp and stamp some snowflakes on the background of this card, and use some detailed silver glitter embossing powder and create my background. I figure snowflakes are swirly, they swirl around, so for swirl I'm using snowflakes for my background. The prompts, you don't have to be literal. You can, interpret them the way that you want to. And so when I say a snowflake is swirly, I'm good with that, you know. So I'm going to clean a little bit of that embossing powder that went awry. Normally I would use a rosin bag to, so it's not sticky, the stuff doesn't stick to it. Or, you can use a, what do they call those, dryer sheet from the dryer, just to get rid of the static cling. So I have those two embossed. And next up, I want to emboss that charm that I'm going to use on there also. So I'm auditioning other pieces, trying to figure out what I want to do on that. That's too big, so I put it aside. And I'm thinking, oh, I'll use that for a card later. But here's my charm, and I'm going to use that sterling silver embossing powder this time, and just, hit it with my pigment ink. This is a colorless pigment ink, and uh, heat that up and change it to a silver snowflake, because you can do that. If you don't like the color of something, use some embossing powder on it. So that's really hot because it's metal, so I'm going to let that dry and cool off a little bit. I'm showing them how I'm storing my embossing powder. Yeah, still hot. So I'm looking at some other papers and things and trying to figure out what I want to put down to layer up my artist trading card. Got some choices. I pulled out some graphic 45 papers, and they were just not contemporary enough for this snowflake. So I look around in my stash and I have some other Christmassy papers, and I decide, well, I'm going to use some of this other stuff because it is a bit more contemporary. And there's this cute little snowman, and I can cut out one of those out of the paper, and he's on a sled and sliding down the hill, and he just looks like he's having a fun time. So just do a little bit of cutout and then layer up some of those other papers, and those ATCs will be finished. So I'm gonna glue things down. I'm getting 2 for the price of 1 here. And I'm showing the pretty bracelet that Shell had made me as part of our design team challenge. So they were pretty cool, and I just wanted to show everybody how pretty that was. Okay, gluing stuff down. Not spending a lot of time on these, just finishing up because we've done the challenge. We did the swirl, which was the snowflakes. We did the brilliant, which was the embossing powder. We used a pad to emboss with, and we used the color silver. So I think we met the challenge. Now, my piece has cooled down, and I want to tie a little bit of ribbon onto that, but I make the mistake of gluing it down first and struggle a little bit. So I decide, well, I can just take it back up and glue it down again. So I'm going to get some double stick tape and put on the back of the little snowman so that he's got some dimension, because he's sliding down the hill and he needs a little dimension. And I'm going to stick a few of those sprigs in around him. I don't know why. It just seemed like the thing to do. Filler, you know. So got that, and then you'll see me struggle with the ribbon. I tell you, sometimes I'm just not the brightest light in the forest. So pull it up, put it back on, and then my artist trading card challenge for Pick a Stick ATC 1219 will be complete. So next up, I've still got a bunch of stuff out of my desk, and we've got some time. So I figure I'll make a few greeting cards, right? Might as well. I've got cards I need to send out. I'm going to go back to this die cut that I had originally, and I decided I'm going to put some of this glittery paper behind it. I just think it's a really pretty combination with the snowflakes and that glitter showing through, and I like the blue color. So I'm just going to glue that down to the glittery paper. This is some paper I got from Paper Cut. They're a company out of Wisconsin. And I'm going to trim that up and get a greeting card to glue it on to. I've got some old greeting cards. I'm pulling out a lot of old greeting card stuff that I've had for years. One of my first loves was making cards, and when I worked in the stores, I used to work teaching, making a lot of greeting cards and things in the stores. So um, I had a discount for teaching in the stores, and then I could pick things up at a discounted rate. So yeah, I picked up a lot of stuff. It was a lot more than I could use back then. So, 30 years later, I'm still using the cardstock and stuff that I purchased back then. So I'm gonna glue that down. I've got this double stick tape double-sided tape, and I'm just going to use that to adhere it to the front. I like to make sure things don't fall off greeting cards, and one of the ways you can do that is by using a good adhesive. So this double stick tape does a pretty good job. This is by Elizabeth Craft, and struggling just getting the backer paper off of it, so yay, finally got it to work. Gluing it down, and then after I did that, I decided that I wanted some kind of greeting or something on the front, and I also need to do something on the interior. So pulling out a few other card backs and looking at the other dies that I've got, auditioning things, trying to figure out how many cards I can get done, what I like, what I don't like. There's lots of, when you die cut a bunch of stuff like this, it's easy to just pull things out of your stash and, throw a few cards together. So, still looking at that card and thinking I want to put something on there. I've got this stamp, and I don't want to stamp directly on the card because I could really mess it up right at this point. So I'm going to get some tissue paper, and I'm going to stamp that sentiment. I'm not sure about the color, so I'm going to stamp it in this blue and see if it'll work with the blue that's on the card. And I'm thinking, it's not too bad. So I'm going to take my scissors, trim it out, and get that glued down. But I also need to put a sentiment on the interior, so I'm going to use that same blue pad and stamp my Merry Christmas on the interior of the card. And then take my scissors, trim around that tissue paper, and just use a adhesive or glue stick to stick that down on the front. And then I don't have to worry about messing up my card front by misstamping. It's easy enough to misstamp. Now, you could use a stamp platform. I do have several of those, but I took the lazy way out. I wasn't going to go dig it out. I just glued that tissue paper right on the front. And then I'm thinking, well, I got the snowflakes. I should just, put something on the envelope too, because you don't want the envelope going out bare. So I'm going to take a bunch of different snowflakes that I've got in stamps, because I do have my stamps. I love my stamps. And I'm just going to stamp here and there on the edge of the envelope. And then I've got a card ready to go in the mail. And then I'm looking at these others, trying to figure out what I want to do. That black is too dark. The red doesn't stand out. I I audition a lot of things trying to figure out how I want them to go. I do like these silhouettes on this blue card, but it's the end of the show. So I'm just pulling out the things that I've gotten accomplished and showing you what we did today. And I want to thank you for being here. I want to thank you for sharing with us throughout the year and wishing you a joyous holiday season, whether it's Hanukkah or Christmas or Kwanzaa, whatever you may be celebrating. Happy holidays, and we will see you again next week. Bye for now.